The captain has just died at the helm. The first mate is mortally wounded. The cargo has shifted in the hold, causing the mast to fall. The ship is now at the mercy of the storm, and it's slowly drifting towards the rocks. But these are not the worst problems facing the crew of this ghost ship, because they're dead. They died 100 years ago, and their souls have been trapped on this ship ever since. What the hell? Is this some kind of sick joke? Why are we telling you all this? Well, because that's what happens in the creepy, unsettling, absolutely terrifying new horror film The Ghost Ship, which will be released on Shudder in November. And we've got an exclusive trailer for you today. When a massive cargo ship goes missing in the Bermuda Triangle, a rescue mission is sent out to locate it. On board are two Coast Guardsmen and a jaded salvage expert who's seen it all before. What they find is the ghost of the crew is still working on board, trying to repair the ship so that it can sail again. They quickly realize that the only way to escape this fate is to stop the ship from setting sail, even if that means harming the ghosts themselves. Let me ask you this. Have you ever felt like your life was cursed? Like everything you do goes wrong, every choice you make leads to ruin, and there's simply no hope for a happy ending? If you answered yes, then welcome to my channel. Now get out while you can, because this is gonna be a rough ride. But let's rewind a bit here. We're in the midst of a rescue operation. There's a distress call that comes in about a missing cargo ship called the Altair, captained by the gruff but charming Ben, played by the always watchable Demore Barnes. 3 days later, they finally locate the vessel, but things aren't quite right. There's no signs of a struggle or impact with another vessel. It's as if the entire crew had simply vanished into thin air. But that's when they hear voices coming from inside the ship, so they go aboard to investigate. Here they meet the ghost of the first mate, Russell, who tells them that they must get the ship repaired so that it can set sail again. He shows them the damage that needs fixing, the broken mast and the cargo that needs shifting, and the trio get to work. Meanwhile, back at the Coast Guard base, Russell's body is found in the ship's log cabin. Then they see the ghost of the cook and the rest of the crew. As they're fixing the ship, they learn that a violent storm struck the previous night and they were unable to secure the cargo properly. The captain tried to get them to abandon ship, but they refused. And in the end, the ship drifted off course, ran aground, and they all perished. This is where we meet our three heroes. A seasoned Coast Guardsman named Chip, played by the dependable Joel David Moore. A hotshot young recruit named Jake, played by newcomer Mac Brand, and a world-weary salvage expert named Eric, played by the always excellent Corey Hawkins. You might know him from his roles in films such as Straight Outta Compton, Black Landsman, and It Comes at Night, to name but a few. They soon discover that the ghosts are trapped on board because they weren't able to finish their work, and so they agree to help them repair the ship so that they can finally move on. But here's the catch. They only have until sunrise to do it, or else the ship will be pulled under by the tide, and the crew will die again. While the work is ongoing, we flash back to the events leading up to the sinking of the ship. We learn that the captain is haunted by the death of his daughter, and he has taken the crew over a dangerous route in the hopes of saving her life. But that's when the storm hits, and he radios in the distress call. It's during these scenes that we're introduced to the character of Maggie, the captain's daughter. She's played by the luminous Fiona Renee, who you might recognize from her role as Ruby in the recent Candyman reboot. When she's not acting, Fiona writes poetry, paints, and DJs. As the repair work continues, the Coast Guardsmen begin to bond with the ghosts. They learn that they were all close friends and family on board the ship, and they were all excited about reaching their destination. We then learn that the ship is due to arrive on Devil's Night, a pagan festival held on the eve of Halloween, where people celebrate the thinning of the veil between the worlds of the living and the dead. This is when the full force of the curse upon the ship is revealed. Every year on Devil's Night, the crew of the Altair is brought back to life for one night only to relive their final hours before the ship sinks. and they're doomed to repeat this torment for eternity unless someone breaks the curse. And so the race is on to complete the repairs before sunrise. They manage to shift the cargo, but now they have to raise the mast. As they struggle to complete the task, more flashbacks reveal that the captain was struggling to come to terms with his grief over losing his daughter. He lashed out at his crew, blaming them for his inability to save her. In the end, he realized that it wasn't their fault, but he was too late. His crew had abandoned ship, leaving him alone to face his fate. With the first rays of sunlight beginning to appear, they managed to raise the mast, but the ship is still damaged and it's not seaworthy. Just as the sun rises, the ship begins to shake violently. Everyone scrambles to secure themselves. The Coast Guardsmen have donned life jackets and are hanging on for dear life. They watch in horror as the ghosts are thrown around the deck like rag dolls. Then they vanish, leaving the trio alone on the ship. Then they hear chains dragging metal moans. The Altair is coming apart at the seams. To make matters worse, the Coast Guard base picks up a distress signal from the Altair and sends out a helicopter to investigate. When they arrive, they find the three men clinging to the wreckage of the ship for their dear lives. They're brought back to the base where they're greeted by their colleagues. The hotshot recruit, Jake, is hailed as a hero for saving the ghost ship's crew, even though he insists that it was really their doing. Later on, as Eric prepares to leave, he is approached by the salvage company owner who tells him that the insurance company won't pay out because the Altair is a total loss. And then he delivers the news that they want Eric to head out on another salvage mission, this time to a sunken cruise ship. As Eric boards the ship that will take him out to sea once more, he looks back at the approaching darkness, and we hear the faint sound of chains dragging. The end. Will you be watching the ghost ship? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more terrifying tales.